Yes, we often hear statistics about heart disease in the media, but you might be left wondering, why does that apply to me? Well, for American Heart Month, we are joined by Robin Gould, who's the director of the Dietetics program at UMES.
Yeah, we're in the DelmarvaLife kitchen today because Robin is going to show us how to make a heart-smart zucchini bread. You're doing swaps, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Now, we're all ready to cook, but we want to talk to you about heart disease a little bit before we get to the food. So can you tell us about the prevalence of heart disease and who's at risk?
Sure. Well, the National Institute of Health estimates that as many as 16.3 million Americans over the age of 20 have coronary artery disease.
Wow.
And that equates to around 7%. And those who might find themselves at risk for heart disease and stroke are those who have certain conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes.
Okay.
So with all that in mind, what are some of the things we can do to try to alleviate some of the risks?
So I'm going to give you my top 4 recommendations.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The first one being we need to pay attention to our portion size. I think a lot of people think that we need more food than we actually do.
Right.
And now while energy needs vary greatly depending on the person, we still need to keep our portion sizes in check.
Yeah.
We need to eat more fruits and vegetables. We're really missing the mark as Americans as far as meeting those recommendations. And fruits and vegetables are super heart healthy. They're full of antioxidants, vitamins and minerals. Most are low calorie, and they really do fill us up. We also need to pay attention to our saturated fat intake. Now, saturated fat is any fat that's solid at room temperature. So
Okay.
think of butter or the white marbling in meats. So when you see the white marbling in meats, in uncooked meat,
Right.
the more the saturated fat. And we also need to watch our sodium intake. Americans, again, exceed the recommendations for daily sodium amounts by a lot. And it's not from the salt shaker. It's from consuming too many processed foods
processed.
and restaurant foods.
Okay.
So if you can consider cooking at home just a little bit more, maybe bringing your lunch to work, those are 2 heart healthy behaviors that will also save you money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Save money. I like that too. Okay. Okay. It's not just diet, though. There's other lifestyle changes we can make to have a healthy heart.
Yep, absolutely. The first thing I would say is move more. I think we can all afford a few extra steps in our day, but regardless of the type of exercise that you can handle, generally speaking, moving more is heart healthy. And then when it comes to those cravings, don't deny yourself all the time. Allow yourself some treats in moderation. And I think these Heart Smart baking swaps will help with those cravings. And then I would recommend getting in contact with your local registered dietitian who can help you with counseling, not only for better heart health, but for your overall health. And if you can't find one in your area, don't hesitate to contact me, Robin Gould, at the University of Maryland, and I can help you find a dietitian near you.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
All right. Good information. And then we're going to put some of this information to work when we come back and put together our healthy zucchini bread. All right. Stick around. DelmarvaLife will be right back. Now that we've gotten some insight into healthy nutrition, let's put some of that info to work. We're in the DelmarvaLife kitchen with Robin Gould. She's the director of dietetics, the dietetics program at UMES. And before the break, we talked about a zucchini bread with healthy swaps.
That's right. I'm going to show you some Heart Smart baking swaps using a traditional zucchini bread recipe. Now you can make these swaps with lots of different recipes. So if you have a bread that you like better, like banana bread, it will work with that, or several different cake recipes. So I first want to show you the swaps I'm going to be making. This recipe yields 2 of these 1-pound loaves and calls for 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Now, instead of using 2 cups of all-purpose flour, I'm going to use only 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and then 3/4 of a cup of whole wheat flour.
Oh, okay.
Now the reason I'm making that swap is because the whole wheat flour is full of fiber, and fiber's heart healthy. The next swap I'm making is with the sugar. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups of sugar. That's a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
I cut that in half and I'm only using 3/4 of a cup. And believe me, the bread will be plenty sweet.
It's not going to affect the taste that much.
It will not.
Okay.
And if you want to cut the calories even more, you could use a no-calorie sugar substitute, up to you.
And that sugar right there, is that a specific kind? Is that the raw sugar?
This is a raw sugar. This is what I had on hand.
Oh, okay.
You can use a regular white sugar.
Okay.
Okay.
And then with the salt, this is the salt mixed with some of the cinnamon and baking soda, but instead of 1 teaspoon, I used a 1/2 teaspoon. And then with the oil, the recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of oil, and I only use 1/4 of a cup. And I'm substituting unsweetened applesauce for the rest of it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So between the moisture from the applesauce and the zucchini, you won't miss that oil at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix our dry ingredients together.
So it seems to me, and I'm not real smart on this, so I'm going to ask the question, that you've reduced the amount of some things, but you're still going to get 2 full pound loaves
Yes.
out of this.
We'll still have 2 1-pound loaves.
Okay, okay.
So we're adding our sugar. And again, this is the salt, the baking soda, and the cinnamon. We'll mix our dry ingredients a little bit.
I'll do the dishes.
Okay, thank you.
Just throw them in the sink.
Just, yes, oh, that we used to have.
Now we'll combine our wet ingredients. We have the zucchini. Zucchini is really easy to shred if you've never done it, but I did pat this dry a little bit, so I would recommend getting a little bit of the moisture out before putting it into your batter.
Does bread not work well with something like that?
You just don't want it to get too liquidy.
Okay.
Yep, so best to pat it dry. We've got 3 large eggs.
You got to remember, you're talking to a guy here who's pretty good with a toaster, and that's about it.
Well, this is a pretty simple recipe. We've got our oil
And our applesauce.
and our unsweetened applesauce and a tablespoon of vanilla. And then we're going to mix that up. Being careful not to overmix. You don't want to overmix any bread recipes because they could get a little bit tough.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I guess you noticed that she didn't trust me with the list.
So we're going to get that nice and mixed, and the last thing I'm going to add are the walnuts. This is 1.5 cups of walnuts. Now you don't have to add the nuts if you don't want them, if you don't like them. I like to add them because they add a nice crunch to the bread, and anytime you add nuts to a recipe, you're adding protein.
There's the protein.
Okay.
And love that texture. Love that texture.
So once you get your batter all mixed up, you're going to divide it into your 2 prepared, so you have 2 prepared loaf pans that you're putting them in.
Right.
And then I had set the oven to 350 degrees, and you bake the breads for around 50 minutes.
Did our magic oven go to work for us today?
Magic oven
Looky there.
did.
What do you know?
And then you'll have 2 beautiful, moist, heart-healthy zucchini loaves.
And you have one right there.
And I have the second one here. And I always like to sprinkle just a little bit of extra powdered sugar on top because it looks nice. And there you go.
And there you go.
Look at that.
All right.
Can we?
Can we taste it?
Can we taste it?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's find us a knife here. I think this will do the trick, right? It's little,
There you
but
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, question. Do you like the end piece?
I like
Or do you like the
any
next piece?
What do you like?
See, Carol loves the end piece. And that's the one I always end up giving to her.
Okay,
So
I'll take it.
give you that. Thank you so much. What drives your passion for this? Why is it so fascinating to you?
Oh my gosh. Well, being a registered dietitian, I love to talk about food and what's going into our bodies because it's so important
It is
for
important.
preventative care to be able to make healthy choices.
That
it
is
good?
delicious. Thank you so much,
You're
Robin.
welcome.
I need a big glass of milk. That is, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you one.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin.
And we'll have the recipe on our website,
Fantastic.
DelmarvaLife.com. DelmarvaLife, we'll be right back.